A Villain in Venice, Jane of the Air, Book 1. A steampunk detective and aviatrix and part-time spy. Available now. All profits to the NHS.
Scanning for audio.
Welcome to a Tin Dog Podcast, this time talking about main range release number 265, The Lovecraft Invasion. Now this actually came out on the 30th of July 2020. The next day, the 31st of July 2020, release number 266 was released. So this was only ever in the main range catalogue for one day. It was only ever the main range release for one day of release. Now normally Big Finish do 2, 3, perhaps even 5 days before the next release. But this one was rushed out because, well, the official reason was technical issues. We'll never know the real reasons, but I'll go into that in a minute. Here's the synopsis first. The Doctor, Constance and Flip join forces with the 51st century bounty hunter Calypso Jonze to hunt down a Somnifax, a weaponised mind-parasite capable of turning its host nightmares into physical reality. Chasing it through the time vortex to Providence, Rhode Island in 1937, they arrive too late to stop it from latching on to a local author of weird fiction, Phillips Lovecraft. With time running out before Lovecraft's monstrous pantheon breaks free and destroys the world, the Doctor must enter Lovecraft's mind to fight the psychic invader from within. Can he and Flip overcome the eldritch horrors of the Cthulhu Mythos? And will Constance and Calypso survive babysitting the infamous xenophobic Old Gentleman of Providence himself? Now, there are two ways of looking at why this was delayed. The first one, it was basically due out at the peak of the Black Lives Matter movement on TV and on all of the media when it was at the height of people's minds. Now, one of the things that Lovecraft says is that the real pity of the human condition is that it can't hold all ideas simultaneously at the front of his head at the same time. So, Black Lives Matter, and they always will. However, if, say, for example, a offshoot of the BBC as far as the world of media is concerned was to release a story about, well, not praising the work of a racist, homophobic, well, idiot who wrote some decent stories. At the time, it could have been seen to backfire. Various forums jumped on this when Big Finish announced they had technical issues. Now, the technical issue could have been that the story didn't condemn Lovecraft's worldview enough. I'll say more about that in a minute. But it could also have been something technical along the lines of, well, we haven't got enough CDs in stock. It could have been anything. We just don't know. And more importantly, now that it's been released, I don't actually care. I'm just glad we've got it, because this was the single most important release I was looking forward to for the entire year. Why? Well, I am, like one of the characters referenced in this great drama, I used to be a gamer. I used to absolutely adore the game Call of Cthulhu, Chaosium's Jewel in the Crown, Sandy Peterson's finest work. And I didn't know anything about Lovecraft at all. I knew there was one book out called Lovecraft's Book, which was about him being approached to write the American version of Mein Kampf or something similar. I may or may not have bought it, but I probably didn't. So I never really knew that much about him or his work. As time went by, you hear the odd thing and you pick up on some, well, facts about the author themselves. Now, at the time, I kind of went, fair enough, the guy's been dead for 70 years. He was of his time. Except, of course, he wasn't. He was an idiot in real life. He had some terrible, terrible world views. And the stories are, well, quite difficult to read, especially when you're a teenager. Let me just be sidetracked for a moment and say that I did a dyslexia test while I was at school, and they discovered that my reading age was off the chart, but my spelling age was 6 years younger than my predicted current age. I had the vocabulary of someone who was doing degree level work, and I had the spelling of someone who was not even worthy to be in high school. Now, obviously, I've not let this beat me. To be honest, I've fought it at every single line, but I still have issues. I've got workarounds and things like that. But one of the reasons that my vocabulary was so big is because I pushed myself to read, slowly, admittedly, incredibly complicated texts, and I found Lovecraft's work, well, like walking through mud, but I wasn't going to let it beat me. You have to, at the time, read that and have a dictionary next to you. I mean, how many people walk through their general day-to-day life knowing what eldritch means? Well, I suppose they might these days, but in the 80s that just wasn't a thing. So, that's my side story. Basically, his writing style is not the most accessible. However, last year I read The Colour from Outer Space, which I found actually incredibly atmospheric. I found it deep. I found it accessible. I also found it short enough to be able to read. So, do you separate someone from their work? Well, in this Big Finish audio, no. Because that's what it's about. Yes, if you're dealing with a fictional world, a fictional universe, the go-to choice is to go, oh yeah, they're in the land of fiction. Well, you know what? Big Finish have always said they get too many people contacting them and saying, oh yeah, we need to do that. We need to have a land of fiction storyline. Oh, that way we can have crossovers. Well, because Lovecraft's been dead for so long now, he's out of copyright, which means everyone owns the Cthulhu Mythos. Anyone can write anything they want and get away with it without having to pay royalties. That is great. Yes, Big Finish, if they wanted, could produce The Call of Cthulhu as an audio drama. They could do all of those things, and I must admit I'd be tempted. But these things have been done before. Here we've got a storyline where you've got, how can I say this without being offensive? Lovecraft's greatest hits. You've got Cthulhu, you've got the detective, you've got the Necronomicon, you've got, well, Gaunts, you've got Arkham Asylum. I know, yes, Arkham Asylum, Batman's Arkham Asylum, same place-ish. Same name, it's fine. You've got the deep ones. And you know what? I've got a statue of Cthulhu on my desk. I've actually got two. But that's just because it's a nod to my past. It's not because I believe in any of the things that Lovecraft as a person believed in. If you've listened to this long enough, you know that's very, very not the case. So how do you approach it? Well, on the day of the release, I was driving to work, and I was thinking to myself, oh, I wish they'd released that Lovecraft one. Oh, there's a 15-minute drama tease on the end of one of the podcasts. So I scrolled through my phone, found the old one, downloaded it, because I'd not been listening to the Big Finish podcast of late, because, well, I've been on lockdown, but I'm back in work now, driving, and I thought that. So I listened to that, and I get it. I get that Lovecraft's very nasty person. But then, when the actual release comes out, a few hours later, serendipity, I listen to the same bit again. And I am sure that I can hear added bits of the Doctor being more judgmental about Lovecraft than I could hear in the drama tease. You can email me, you can message me if I'm wrong. But you know what? Treat the first version as a draft. As a version, a work in progress. Because there's storyline people, there's character, the Jones's character, who is basically Captain Jack. She is previously male, she's transsexual, she's not even human, and she's black, and it's just a great character. If you can keep Calypso Jonze in Doctor Who, I'll be a very happy bunny. She just rocks. And it's nice to have someone a touch violent hanging around with the 6th Doctor. She's a bounty hunter. She needs to come back. I really would like her to meet other Doctors. She is the takeaway piece from this that's a sort of Brucey bonus, an Easter egg, a gift. Because she's just a great character. And she's needed. She's needed for the narrative so you can split them up. She's needed so that she can confront Lovecraft. But the Doctor here confronts Lovecraft's thoughts and the fact that he doesn't want to meet him because of who he is, and the fact that Lovecraft wrote some terrible stuff and he never wanted to reread the stories again because of that. And all of these things are talked about. Now, if this story was on TV, it could have been seen as a bit preachy. But because they didn't go down the road of, oh, it's the land of fiction, and you get to see all of the greatest hits of H.P. Lovecraft's work, and he's confronted, completely called out on any of his attitudes, which aren't of his time. Because let's face it, one of the Doctor's companions was of a very similar time, and she was fighting the Nazis for 6 years. So that is just wonderful. So, if it has been changed, augmented and improved, I'm not going to judge it as preachy. Some people in Gallifrey Base would probably say that, but you know what, they can go away and hang. Because as far as I'm concerned, this is completely the Lovecraft Invasion I wanted. And it was just glorious and so worth the wait. Thank you, Big Finish, for either fixing it or just giving us a fantastic narrative. I don't care which it is, because as far as I'm concerned, this simply rocked. I've rambled, I've probably talked more than usual, but if you liked H.P. Lovecraft's writing, if you played Call of Cthulhu as a kid, or even play it now, go away and get this for yourself. I'll play you the trailer, and you can hear it for yourself and judge for yourself, because as far as I'm concerned, this is a great Big Finish release. So until next time, be seeing you.
From Big Finish Productions, Doctor Who, The Lovecraft Invasion.
Where are we again?
Rhode Island, 1937. More specifically, the city of Providence. How divine. Behind the car! Take cover!
What are they? They're bad news, whatever they are. Who is he?
Howard Phillips Lovecraft, an American author of weird fiction.
What kind of stuff did he write?
Precisely the stuff that the Somnifax needs, Calypso. Nightmare fuel.
Help, God! Help! Flip! Flip, take my hand! Calypso, help! There are too many of them!
Mr. Lovecraft, please. We're trying to help you.
Help me? I'm not a complete bimbo, you know. You invade my home, you take me prisoner, and you expect me to believe a story so ridiculous it wouldn't make it past Farnsworth Wright on a slow day at Weird Tales.
What happens if it reaches civilization?
Like I said, it'll look for a host to manifest their darkest thoughts and feelings against the rest of the population.
Mrs. Clark, what on earth is going on?
Yes, I'll try to explain, but you may find it all rather hard to believe.
Try me.
Big Finish. We love stories.
That was the Tin Dog Podcast. Available on Spotify, iTunes, Acast, Stitcher, and wherever good podcasts are found. Get early access to content by subscribing to the Tin Dog Podcast YouTube channel. You can support the show at patreon.com/tindog. Contact the show on Twitter @TinDogPodcast or email tin-dog@hotmail.co.uk. All of the things discussed are the intellectual property of others. No infringement is intended. The Tin Dog Podcast is a founder member of the Doctor Who Podcast Alliance.